That would have been fun. Sundance is so much fun. I love going there. It would have been nice to reunite.
When the day is done, my mind turns to her and I think, why are we to be separated?
Welcome to the Variety Virtual Sundance Film Festival studio. I'm Brent Lang, and I'm joined by the cast and filmmaking team behind The World to Come. How did this project originate? Casey, you produced this. Did you develop this as well?
Well, I guess you could say that. I just knew Ron Hansen, and I'd worked with him before on a movie that was made out of a book of his, and I wanted to do something else with him. He found this Jim Shepard story, and they wrote it into a screenplay. You know, I stood by and watched. If that's development, then that's what I did. Those guys wrote it, and then we just lucked into having Mona. It was just great timing. She came in to make it.
With little pride and less hope, we begin the new year.
Mona, what attracted you to the project? Why did you want to direct this?
I thought the script was fantastic. It's really beautiful. And I was excited about the prospect of working with Casey and Whitaker. The first time, I think after I'd read the script, I had a really long conversation with the two of them, where I think most of it, Casey and I had a long, geeky conversation about the Torn Horse. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
and I thought, there's a lot of room to do exactly as I want. There's no, so it was a very kind of, and the same with Ron and Jim. Once we started talking about the screenplay, they were so open and excited to just kind of collaborate and for us to make it into a movie.
I wanted to work with Mona again. I had done her first film, The Sleepwalker, and I'd known her before that. So I think for me it was more about that than I think maybe the part itself. Although the part, was some of my best work to date. I think I was mostly excited about that, and then to also work with these cats.
Yeah, I mean, there was nothing unattractive about it. On the first few lines of the first page, it was evident that it was an incredible script. The way the characters were described on the first page, something that really struck me was that Abigail was described as an asset to Dyer. And I thought that was such an interesting word, an idea, the positive and negative connotations in that word. The language of the voiceover felt so truly private and internal. I was really getting access to the secret world of someone, rather than the kind of voiceover we so often see, which is sort of placed on top of a film. This voiceover was deeply woven into the fabric of the film. And Kirby said yes to the project before she'd even met Mona. When someone wants to make a movie this good, you figure you're going to have something in common with them. You're recognizing that there's something really special about this thing and it's worth putting the effort required to get it done. That is what we saw when we all came together, like just a couple of us really, who all wanted to give every possible moment and all our effort to it. We didn't have days off. We rehearsed on Sunday mornings. We hustled to get it out. And it was just one of those ones that was worth it.
Vanessa, is that true? You agreed to do this without meeting Mona?
I did. I mean, I love her work anyway, so I just knew I wanted to work with her. So that was an absolute, it was just so easy. But for me, it was something that Jim found, right? Jim Shepard found before he wrote his short story that this film's based on. He found a line in a diary, and I know Katherine talks about this a lot, where it says something like, correct me if I get it wrong, but it was, my best friend moved away and I fear I'll never see her again. And it was like an extract, just one line from a diary of a woman in those days. And the essence of the whole film is that. Just imagine someone that you love so much and quite literally, geographically, never being able to see them. Obviously, we feel that now more than ever. But I loved that. And I felt very connected actually to the line of ancestors that we've all come from, and the differences in those freedoms and liberties that we have now compared to them. And I felt that was just a really important voice actually that has kind of been, has vanished.
Casey, did you always plan to be part of the cast, or were you ever thinking of just producing? How did you get involved in front of the camera as well as behind it?
Yes, I was always planning on being playing a part, and Mona was nice enough to include me.
I wasn't sure if you wanted to. It was, or not to play the role, because you were very, sort of elegant in that way. You didn't really say, "Oh, I'm going to play this role," But I thought I always thought it was such a great fit for the role.
Something is this well written, if you sort of it almost, you don't even think about like your role, or I don't sometimes. You just think like, oh, this is beautiful, I want to be a part of it. So it didn't really matter. It was sort of all the parts are interchangeable. I mean, obviously not really, but Chris and I were, I guess, anyway. But I was really excited to act in it. I also love doing period things. I guess as a producer, I could have just sort of put on a period outfit and stood around, but it's more fun to be an actor.
7, an earthquake knocked down our house and barn.
An earthquake.
The dread never fully went away.
It feels so sort of tactile, and I wonder what kind of research you all did to get into the mindset of somebody living in the frontier, as it were, at this period of time.
We know so little about working class women from this period. They didn't live lives of leisure, so there wasn't a lot of time sitting around journaling. Most of the journals, certainly, that when I went looking to see what I could find of women's experience, sort of particularly gay women's experience in this time, all that you've got are a few journals from sort of upper class English women. And it's a striking thing we all realize, right? That history is written by the literate, obviously. So, you have a lot of people who they haven't been given an education, or they don't have the kind of lifestyle where they can sit around writing the thoughts down. And as a result, we don't know much. We don't know so much about these women. That's why it was so striking to Jim, what he found in that farm log. It's just this tiny glimpse into someone's personal life, their feelings, their desires, and we have so little of it. So in that sense, that research wasn't there for us to do, but you sure can spend a lot of time learning how to milk a cow, which I was quite obsessed with on set. Those kinds of things always really stress me out, how to move around a kitchen that you've lived in all your life, or milk a cow like you do it twice a day. And I don't think people necessarily really notice that stuff so much in films, but if I don't feel like I'm milking a cow, like someone who's milked a cow for 20 years straight, I kind of go into a panic. So I had to do a lot of hand exercises. It takes a great deal of hand muscle work.
Who is that?
Good afternoon.
I'm Tally.
Abigail.
My character didn't labor on a farm, so I was quite lucky that I didn't have to learn to milk a cow, because I don't drink milk. Anyway, that's not relevant. But no, well, for her, my instinct honestly was she's so like sensorial, she's such like a visceral person, that for me a lot of it was music and how things felt. And Mona had this incredible costume designer who handmade everything, so you really got to like build that from the inside out, and those things, like the texture of fabrics and the colors that they wore. And I had obviously like a really big red wig, and those kind of things to me felt like more than, in fact, the facts about things. I found my way into the character through that, whereas usually I was like to read everything and study and order a million books, and this time I really didn't do that, because I just feel like she's unusual in the sense that she leads from her senses and her emotional and her body, and so I just sort of much more instinctive than intellectual, and it was really nice to do that.
I'll say Katherine and Vanessa did a lot of research, and anytime you talk to them about what was going on, they always really had great insights. And when I showed up in Romania, Mona had already built the farmhouse. I had a bit of a meltdown because I was like, this is what it looks like. This doesn't. It felt sort of, just unfamiliar in a weird way. And so to what Catherine's point is, it takes some time to get used to something, no matter what it is, whether it's just a period or if it's perfectly period in the way that Mona had done it, but you're supposed to feel like it's yours and it doesn't. Katherine and Vanessa just seemed to step into the period and to the farm life effortlessly, whereas Chris had one thing to do, which was to drive a carriage or a horse-drawn carriage, and she couldn't do it. It's the months to prepare to drive a horse-drawn, to sit on a wooden bench and hold the reins. Well, 15 stuntmen prepped the carriage for him, and we had 25 takes of it.
One thing I'll never have to do again in my life is that, so I don't care. Yeah. All right, Casey. You're a real axe man too. Are you? You're real. I wish you taught me a few things.
I trained on the apple peeler.
You did a great job with the apple peeler,
Thank
but you
you.
did break 6 axes.
Those are poorly made.
Very poorly made.
Chris said the only time he cried in the movie is when he saw me peeling the apples.
Yeah, it's the most emotional part of the movie. I think I felt everything in that. That's really what it's about. I think the trailer should have just been that, you doing that for about a minute and a half.